From paying bills to sending money across borders, digital wallets are quietly reshaping how Filipinos live. And today, the CEO of Coins.ph, Wei Zhou, joins us to explain why 2026 could be the year cash finally takes a back seat. Welcome to Market Edge, Wei.
Thanks for having me.
Right. It's good to have you here. Now, a surge in peer-to-peer payments that has been described in the Philippines has been massive. Can you describe to us just how the current market conditions are for the Philippines when it comes to digital payments?
Yeah, I think digital payments have seen significant growth in the Philippines over the last 5 years, ever since the beginning of the pandemic, with sort of the rise of the cashless economy. And I think what we've seen over the last 12 months or so has been a continued push on that front with the adoption of Coins.ph, which is a universal payment code that any individual or any merchants can generate and then actually either send or receiving money from. I think what this has really done is actually opened up the payment landscape in the Philippines to more than just the traditional one or two guys that have been dominating the space. And now is basically merchants, once they have a QR code, they can drive payments or generate payments into their platform from any vendor, from any sort of service provider. And I think this open system has basically driven sort of the growth, new areas of growth for digital payments for us here in the Philippines.
Okay, when you talk about speed adoption, it may be fast, but is it ideal? I mean, is it as you've envisioned it to be, that kind of pace in the Philippines with consumers adapting to more digital platforms?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of for us at Coins, one of the original slogans is basically "My phone is my wallet," and that is true even more so today than it has ever been. I think the wallet functionality, if you remember, I think initially is basically to help you to pay stuff like either in person, where you can basically just scan a code and pay. And now basically we've seen with the introduction of Apple Pay and Google Pay in the Philippines, now you can basically simple tap and pay. And I think for Coins specifically, we've been a major sort of advocate for using crypto as a form of payment. And I think that's sort of, with sort of the popularization of stablecoins coming into scene, I think that's even going to be more true going forward.
Okay, so what do you think are the factors that contribute to the Filipino consumer not going full throttle when it comes to digital payments now?
Yeah, I mean, I think actually there's been two challenges that we've seen. I think in the major metropolises like Manila and then around in the surrounding area, I think we've actually seen adoption of digital payments quite robust. But I think in the provinces, and I think the biggest challenge is actually not necessarily with the digital payment services like Coins ourselves, or it actually has to do more with the lack of availability of Wi-Fi or of cell phone services. And I think in those regions, I think that's where sort of adoption has kind of sort of slowed or come to a halt, is because of the lack of connection in those regions. And I think the second major reason, I think it has just continued preference for cash in certain merchant and certain sort of user behavior. And sort of the second one is actually an easier challenge to overcome as we make payments more available. The merchants make and we help the merchants to collect faster. Right? Like one thing that we're hoping to work on with our merchant is actually you can, once an individual pays for the coffee or pays for our e-commerce, you can actually get your payment right away rather than have to wait 1 or 2 days to get for the payment to be settled. And I think that part we can solve. But I think the internet connectivity side, I think that'll be something that we hope the telcos can help to sort of push.
Wei, when you mentioned the preference for cash, I hope it's not about trust issues on technology. Is that part of it as well?
No, I think the trust on technology, I think for that part is being solved. I think it's more of just the convenience and then maybe the anonymity and then sort of the instant. Like right now, in some platforms, if the merchant accepts cash, the merchant gets paid, right away. Whereas the merchant, if the merchant accepts digital payments, they may take still 2 to 3 days for that money to sort of hit the merchant's account. I think once we sort of move the settlement timing to T+0, vis-a-vis sort of which is basically instant, rather than sort of they have to wait 2 to 3 days, I think the merchants will be much more acceptance of digital payments vis-a-vis cash.
Okay, what about competition? How would you describe the profile now? We know there is a dominant player, but are emerging, competitors also rising, stepping up?
Absolutely. I mean, I think, like our peers like Gcash and Maya have been sort of pioneers in the market in terms of pushing for the use of, in terms of pushing, our industry forward. But I do think that with new technology comes, new market participants. And then one of the new technologies that we've embraced at Coins is actually the blockchain side. As I mentioned, Coins originally started off as a cryptocurrency exchange for users to basically buy, sell Bitcoin. But I think with the increasing rise of stablecoins and then increasing use of stablecoins, I think not just in terms of the domestic business, but actually in terms of cross-border, we see new opportunities for players like ourselves.
Okay, I want to talk about that further. But meantime, we're seeing the next level for e-wallet space now. How do you see it evolving?
I think from a user perspective, I think some of the major trends that we're seeing is that users will move their money around in terms of chasing for high quality yield. I think right now, if you have money in the bank, you're still earning less than 1% if it's just sort of sitting there. So I think and I think one of the more attractive natures of some of the digital banks that have come out, and with in partnerships through and some of the digital wallets through partnership with banks have been able to give more yield for users with their cash deposits, and I think that has been generally a very good benefit that just general depositors have received. And I think that's one product. I think second is that, once I have earned money, what can I do with it? I think this goes back to sort of what I call sort of the evolution of the financial inclusion. I think, for the last, 10 years, we've talked a lot about using digital wallets to sort of solve the financial inclusion problem. And we've sort of seen the numbers improve, right? I mean, if you look at before 2020 per se, 30 to 40% of the Philippines are unbanked. But I think with digital wallets, I think that number is down to probably less than 10 to 20%. That we can solve by increasing sort of internet access to users. But I do think that sort of the next evolution of financial inclusion, I call it financial empowerment, which is basically now that I have the tools of digital money, the tools of digital payment within my phone, what can I do with my money? Right? I think sort of step one is actually earning yield on my money, right? And I think that's as available, but how can I get more yield on larger sums of money, with less risk? And I think that's something that we are hoping to solve at Coins. And I think the second thing is that how can I help my money grow, right? And I think those are investment opportunities. I think over the last 10 or 15 years, one of the best performing assets have been Bitcoin. And I think Coins, by making Bitcoin available to our users, they've been able to grow their wealth. But I do think that going forward, there are going to be other assets, other financial products that can help users grow wealth. Regional stocks or U.S. stocks. Yield generating products, so as I just think that if what you're seeing in the U.S. is that you're seeing more financial products coming on chain. All of those things can be tokenized, and then we can actually deliver these same products through our existing platform on Coins, as we have delivered Bitcoin and Ethereum to our users for the last 10 years.
All right. Now, talking of Coins.ph, Coins, of course, is now being positioned as a one-stop financial app. What exciting products and services can we look forward to once this happens, or once this is in full fruition?
Yeah, I think one of the key products that we have is actually our yield generating product, which is we're waiting for a couple of licenses to come through. But I think once it comes through, users that have pesos or USDT or USD pool of products that were live, that users that holding US dollar stable coins were getting up to 10% yield, I think on their deposits within Coins. I think yield generating products is something that we'll be pushing for. And the other major product that we're hoping to push for actually global stocks, tokenized form. If you look at sort of what's going on in the U.S. today, as I mentioned before, is that NASDAQ is bringing their stocks on chain, right? And then what that means is that you're going to have tokenized token version of Google and Tesla and Apple. And I think those investment products have not been available. And I think we hope to be able to deliver those products to our users.
Okay, now, Wei, any venture can only succeed if it outsteps the future. How is Coins.ph doing that now? How do you expect to cement that footing inside the Philippines or within the Philippines, considering that other e-wallets and e-financial services are also partnering with local banks? Do you have a local bank partner?
We don't have we have banks that we use. But I think we are mostly an independent platform in the Philippines right now. And I think by staying independent, it allows us to service everyone rather than sort of, jumping into any sort of, camps or alliances. And I think that has been sort of our position so far. And I think in terms of how to
Wei, we can't hear you. Maybe there's a problem with the signal. Wei, can you hear me?
constant is actually
All right.
technology is going to.
There you go. Wei, please go ahead.
Our goal is to stay ahead of the technology. And I think that's something that we hope to do.
All right. On that note, Mr. Wei Zhou, CEO of Coins.ph. Wei Zhou, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you very much for having me. Sorry for the connection issue.
All right. Happy New Year.